On December 11th, 25 years ago, the worst traffic accident in Tennessee history happened on I-75 in McMinn County.
It was like driving down the highway with a blanket over your windshield. Fog so thick, drivers could not see the cars and trucks in front of them.
12 people died, 42 people injured. Tonight, we take you back to the morning when death was hidden in the fog.
I could just hear people piling up behind us. Just hear the crash every few seconds. Somebody else would just screech and pile up.
Becky Eisbill was one of the lucky ones. She lived to tell her story.
People weren't slowing down for fog. They couldn't see what was happening, and all of a sudden it was too late.
25 years later, Becky remembers vividly.
It scrapes the side of my car as it goes underneath the truck. There's a car parked a little bit behind me, and a tractor trailer actually ends up on top of it.
Bill Dyer also remembers vividly.
I could hear explosions, and I could hear people screaming in the background.
Dyer has a corporate job now, but back in December of 1990, he was a Bradley County deputy. By all accounts, he was the first officer on the scene. He did all he could.
People trapped in cars. There were cars on fire. There was one particular man trapped in a vehicle I couldn't get out that burned alive.
About 15 to 20 foot, very low visibility.
We'll be southbound.
Later, survivors would say the fog cut their visibility to almost nothing. An 18-wheeler loaded with peroxide slowed to 25 miles an hour, but another big truck did not. That was the first collision. The fog lifted, revealing the magnitude of the carnage. It would be 2 years before the federal government would issue an 87-page report. Conclusions were few, but one idea stands out. Some people slowed down, others did not.
They should not forget, this was a tragedy. There was a lot of people who lost their lives. Lives were changed forever. And the possibility still exists it could happen again.
And that is the point of our deep look into the events of that day. It could happen again. And unless we make a decision as a community, it no doubt will happen again, because there will always be fog.
And we have the technology now. The technology needs to be on every vehicle.
Make sure you join us on Friday, and we'll tell you about technology that former NTSB Chairman Jim Hall says could save your life and the lives of your family in fog. I'm in the Weather Center now with Chief Meteorologist David Glenn. David, fog can be everywhere, but is it that difficult to predict?
Sometimes it can be. And you said it correctly. Fog is always going to happen. That's something we can't prevent. And at times, especially when you get to the fall, early winter, like it was there in December many years ago, fog is a big, big problem. Let me show you why. This type of fog is called radiation fog or steam fog. Now, radiation is not referring to anything nuclear. It just means that the heat at night radiates away from the earth. So therefore the land cools faster than the water. So in conditions of a clear sky, light wind, temperatures down to the dew point, the fog forms and then settles where the water's a little warmer over inlet rivers, lakes, valley locations, and it stays there until temperatures begin to warm during the day. Now, the problem with a fall day or early winter is that the sun angle is so low that warming may take a long time. Sometimes the fog doesn't lift till 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. So you've got a 3-hour window where the fog could be at its thickest point.
It sounds like that's what happened 25 years ago.
Exactly. That was a clear day, lots of sunshine, as you saw in that video there. And eventually, once it cleared, it was clear. But for those hours, for so many, it was thick and visibility was at 0.
And I guess for all the people at home that can look and see the temperature and see the dew point, the temperature and the dew point have to be almost equal.
Almost equal. Sometimes it'll drop below the dew point, and those levels will continue to drop, and the fog will become thicker. We could have such a scenario even tomorrow morning with some fog around because the bodies of water around us are still warm, while temperatures at the land and the air are going to be down into the 40s. So it's a problem, especially this time of year through early winter.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, David. Learned something today. 5 years ago, death came in the fog that shrouded exit 36 on I-75 near the Hiawassee River in McMinn County. The wrecks came fast, the fires raged, lives were altered, and the police radio traffic put the unspeakable into words in just a matter of moments.
504 responding to 1046 I-75 at the fog zone.
In the language of police, a 1046 is an accident with injuries. This was no routine 1046.
Okay, as soon as you get into the 38, you're going to run into
A young Bradley County deputy was first to respond. 27-year-old Bill Dyer.
There was one particular man trapped in a vehicle I couldn't get out that burned alive.
As Dyer and other first responders did all they could, dispatchers poured in the help.
Everything you got, Lynn. McMinn and Bradley throwing everything you got off of that red fire.
The fog zone, McMinn County, Bradley, across Bradley County, Edward Min, McMinn County EMS units en route, also Bradley County. I also am launching life force at this time.
One of these as many 47s we can get. I can't advise instead of injuries on them.
Okay, all units coming into this thing here, you cannot see. You cannot see. You're going to have to back off of it.
12 people died. 4 times that many were injured. Nobody would ever be the same.
They weren't expecting their lives to change. I wasn't expecting my life to change. The fog put us in a circumstance where all of our lives changed.
In the aftermath, the state installed a fog warning system. Cars now have anti-lock brakes and airbags. Child restraints are the law. But one transportation expert says those changes are not nearly enough. Join us at 5 tomorrow for the solution that retired NTSB Chairman Jim Hall says is long overdue.
25 years ago, death came for 12 people on a foggy interstate near Calhoun, Tennessee. The I-75 wreck involved 99 cars and trucks, some of them burned beyond recognition.
Tonight, we take you back to December 11th, 1990, when heavy fog swallowed up the freeway and everybody driving in it. Death in the fog still haunts 2 people right in the middle of it.
At the count of 3, everybody.
Bill Dyer cannot shake the memories even after 25 years.
A man stumbled out of the fog with a severe head injury. He was bleeding profusely from his face.
Dyer wore the uniform of a Bradley County deputy in those days. It just so happens he was the closest deputy, so he was called upon to do his duty.
You could hear the cars slamming into each other, just one right after another.
In all his training, nothing prepared him for this.
I just knew people were dying, people were being injured. I knew I had to do something. I felt helpless.
Dyer remembers going from car to car, truck to truck.
But I'd never seen anything like this. I'd never seen the extent of injuries and the deaths. It was very traumatic for me.
Other lives also changed. Becky Eisbill drove into the fog, survived, and came out a different person.
Then all of a sudden everything stopped. I mean, all the traffic was stopped, so there was no movement at all, and you can't tell until you were right up on them.
Eisbill says not a single day goes by that she doesn't think about that awful time. About the 2 people in the car she saw crushed by an 18-wheeler.
Right before it happened, the people were okay and they were going to be okay, and once the tractor, you knew that people weren't going to be okay.
Like everyone, Eisbill has to drive in fog sometimes. She tries not to panic.
I immediately go into protection zone and just start thinking people drive slow. Slow down, slow down. That's just all I think.
A 2-year investigation concluded the wreck happened because some drivers slowed way down and others slowed only a little. It could have been avoided only if all drivers slowed down together.
Certainly, we want to have the protection for the average family out there that this provides to prevent needless deaths.
Now, you might recognize Jim Hall. He served as chairman of the National Transportation Safety Board from 1994 to 2001, and he knows the 1990 fog zone crash very well. Hall is convinced today's technology can prevent such accidents and disasters. Unfortunately, your car probably doesn't have it. Make sure you join us tomorrow on News Channel 9. We'll tell you about this technology that Hall says could save your life and the lives of your family in fog. 12 years ago, another huge fog-related crash on I-75 involved 125 cars and trucks in Catoosa County. 4 people killed in that wreck back on March 14, 2002, 39 people injured. The accident happened during the morning rush hour on I-75 just south of the Battlefield Parkway exit. That area does not have a fog warning system like McMinn County, but like the fog zone wreck, investigators blame the Catoosa County wreck 15 years ago on people not slowing down for the fog.
We learned a valuable lesson from the horrific fog accident 25 years ago on I-75 that killed 12 people. For 3 days, we've been reliving this horrific accident through the eyes of those people involved. So what have we learned with the fog so common? How can we keep something like this from happening again? And that's where we begin tonight's story.
This report from the National Transportation Safety Board never said what caused the cars and the trucks to run into each other. This report also offers no remedies to keep it from ever happening again. Is technology the answer?
This 87-page report was the government's final word on the tragedy. Its conclusion was simple and direct. Some drivers responded to the fog by slowing down dramatically. Others hardly slowed down at all.
How far would it take you to skid to a stop if there were an inanimate object in the road in front of you obscured by the fog?
Experts say stopping quickly involves 3 things: perception time, reaction time, and braking distance. Perception is when your eyes see and recognize a hazard. Reaction is based on the decision you make to move your foot to the brake. And braking is the distance it takes to stop.
According to these calculations, if you're going 30 miles an hour, it's going to take you 40 feet to skid.
I walk off about 40 feet, but would that be enough? In this kind of fog? Not according to first responders 25 years ago.
Visibility would be about 20 foot. Visibility would be about 20 foot on the side.
In the kind of fog present that day, the math will never work. Somehow you have to create more perception time. Drivers need technology help to see deep into the fog.
If we'd have had that kind of technology 25 years ago, would that accident up on I-75 have been that serious?
I don't believe so. I believe it would have provided adequate warning.
Transportation expert Jim Hall says the aviation industry has had collision avoidance technology for years. In fact, he says a 2001 study recommended it for cars and trucks too.
The automobile manufacturers want a level playing field, and they're not going to put a safety feature on that costs some money unless it's required throughout the industry.
Hall believes government intervention is needed to make collision avoidance standard on cars.
It's going to be a lot less expensive than the Bose speakers and entertainment system that is standard in so many vehicles today.
Now, some cars offer forward collision avoidance as an option right now. The prices range from $1,500 to more than $3,000. And in this report that just came out this summer, the NTSB is now urging automakers to make the system standard equipment on every new car. And Consumer Reports recommends getting one as an option until they become standard. To see this full report, click on this story at newschannel9.com.
Calvin, it's good stuff. A lot of digging you did on that.
It's very interesting about fog. I don't think we really understand that much about it. But the one thing that comes out that everybody, the experts, the police, everybody, folks, slow down when you come into a fog system.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, just slow down.
Just be smart about it.
You never know what's up in front of you.
All right. Calvin, thank you. Appreciate it.